Um, Tuesday, August 21st, let me appoint Nelson into a voting position for Mike. Let me remind everyone who will address the board to sign in on the clipboard that's on the table and make sure the microphone's turned on and speak clearly into it. By way of announcement, our next planning board meeting will be September 4th, 2018 at 7 p.m. in this room. Let me also, by way of announcement, indicate that the planning board has received correspondence from the New Hampshire DOT regarding a public hearing 2 nights from now in this room, August 23rd, 2018 at 7 p.m. It's a public hearing by the State Department of Transportation to present and collect information about the widening of New Hampshire 101A from Boston Post Road to Continental Boulevard and on Craftsman Lane at its intersection in order to add a third eastbound lane. And I assume that notice is also available from the DOT and elsewhere on the town's website. Robert, is there anything that you have for the Planning and Zoning Administrator's report?
No, Mr. Chair.
Are there any questions by members of the board for staff? Let me give Tom a minute just in case. Tom, do you have any questions for staff on the staff report? No? Okay. Then, with that, let's move on the agenda to item 3, which is Patriots Car Wash as the applicant and owner. And we are to consider review for acceptance and consideration of a waiver of full site plan review to permit an automobile service repair station addition. The parcel is located at 376 Daniel Webster Highway in the C2 Commercial and Aquifer Conservation Districts, tax map 43, lot 2. Robert, is there anything that we need to know before we hear from the applicant?
No, since the last meeting, the board asked the applicant to provide an updated plan showing some things, and in your packet, you got a 8.5 by 11 plan that the applicant submitted in an effort to address those concerns. There's still a number of comments that were left from the staff memo from last time that were not addressed yet. But they're all listed as condition of approval if the board decides that that's appropriate. Again, one of the things that we really need to know is we can't determine the parking calculation based on the information that we have because it relies on number of employees and things like that. So we need some firm information on that before we can settle on what parking actually is. But outside of that, it's just a continued from last time discussion.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you. Please introduce yourself and tell us where we're at.
Good evening, Ronnie Gannum from Patriots Car Wash. I brought a plan with me so I can point.
Sure, please.
If you don't mind.
You can take that with you and then stand by your plan. Grab that microphone and walk around with it.
So this is the plan that I submitted to, I redid a few things and I added just notations on the plan to basically explain exactly what we're trying to accomplish with the addition. This is Daniel Webster Highway. You enter the car wash. This is the existing entrance and exit for the car wash. Those 2 lanes, or this whole area here, is now the entrance of the car wash. There's 4 lanes at the entrance of the car wash. So we are proposing adding 11 parking spots to the right. The parking spots are, conform to it's 9 feet wide by 15 feet lengthwise, and that will leave us with 1 lane to enter the car wash this way and a lane to exit this side. And we're deleting 2 vacuum islands that are existing in the existing plans and leaving 1 vacuum island next to the addition, which basically the addition ends at the light pole right next to the vacuum island, the existing vacuum island. So we're moving the existing vacuum island around to be exact, around 5 feet towards the building, which will provide adequate space for parking 2 cars and utilize 2 vacuums, or the 2 of the existing vacuums. So this is the lane that enters the car wash. This is the existing entrance. The existing car wash is right here. There's a main entrance or main door entry to the car wash, plus 2 bay garages on the side. Nothing is changing here. As we spoke before, the addition will be to the right side of the car wash. It starts from the existing office structure, this is the existing office. It's highlighted in black. So we're not doing anything here. The only thing we're adding additional is we are extending the existing office another 14.5 feet, basically to get the whole length of to finish the garages. And this is the area here, which will be the waiting area. It's 8 feet by 14.5 feet. And this is, you have the plan. It's actually on those plans in the back as well. It's noted on the plan, the architect's plan.
Let's ask some questions and go over some of the parts on this plan first, then we'll
Absolutely.
flip it over and do that. So tell us, anything more that you want to tell us about this one?
We have 4 existing parking spots on this side. So there was 8 parking spots. We're deleting 4 for the where the building is. We're leaving 4 parking spots the way they are. There is 3 parking spots in the back. Those are still existent and in place. So we already have 7 parking spots which are existent. The only thing we're doing is we're deleting 4 parking spots that were here. Based on my understanding and based on what I was told, we only need, I think, if we do the math, there's going to be 4 employees, so we're adding 1 employee. We already have 3 employees in place. We're adding 1 employee. For 1 employee, there's plenty of parking spots, plenty of parking spaces. In addition, the existing garages will provide parking for our customers per se. So we'll be working inside instead of parking cars and working detailing and everything else parking outside. So I mean, it's 8 bays here. I'll have an additional 8 spaces inside the building for customers' work and cars that I'll be getting. Honestly, I don't anticipate to have any. I hope I'll get 8 customers at a time or 8 cars at a time, but I don't anticipate having anything more than that. And the 11 parking spaces that are they're right next to the Dana Peterson property. There's plenty of space for that.
Walk me through the 8 bays or the 8 spaces that are inside the building. Where are they? Point to them.
Well, it's not 8 bays. It's basically I'm adding 2 bays, but the length we're talking about 35 or 30 foot by 42. So
Okay.
it's 1,200 square feet.
So
of
you can stack
space
2 cars in each one of the new quote bay doors.
at least. I mean,
Okay.
we can easily put 6 cars. If you 30 feet again, 10 feet a car, 9 foot a car, you can easily put 3 cars side by side and 2 cars deep.
Yes, you could.
So you're talking about putting 6 cars in the new addition?
If I have to, I can put 6 cars inside.
Okay.
Obviously it's hard to work around. That's why you want to build garages. If you're working in garages, you want to build garages that give you a little bit of space to walk around the cars, so you can work on cars and do everything. But if we have to park, I can, like in storm or whatever, if snow
Yeah, you're
removal
not-
or whatever, I can put more cars inside if I need to.
Okay. How about in the bay that's on the top of your plan, the one that's the closest to the back island?
This bay is a touchless car wash, so it's a self-service car wash.
Okay.
This is it was proposed as a self-service car wash.
All right.
And that's why, we have the road coming out of this to kind of exit the car wash that way.
Okay. Robert, other than number of employees, what else do you need to know about the project to to figure out the parking question?
The square footage of the office space and square footage of all the additional, the additions, and confirming exactly what all the additional uses are on site. That's what Kelly's noted down.
So
Okay.
the space, again, if the other plan, I don't know if I should, if I turn the other plan, this is an architect plan with all the measurements and details on it. And I submitted this plan before my previous meeting, so you folks have a copy of this plan. I also noted right here on the revised plan what the addition is. The garage is basically a 45 by 42. 30 feet by 42 is the actual garage, and the other 15 by 42 is the touchless car wash. In terms of the waiting area, it's 14.5 feet by 8 feet.
So 45 by 42 is 1890, and 14.5 by 8 is 116. So you're talking about 2,006 square feet addition. Do you need the square feet of the old part, Robert, or just that? Okay. And do we have enough information about the uses now?
Yes.
Okay. Is that something that you guys have to be able to figure out in the office, or can you kind of figure it out on the fly?
Office is easier because the calculations are all funky, so I'll
Okay.
be sitting here doing math for a little while.
Understood.
It should all still be noted on the plan anyway. It's going to have to be.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. Stacking spaces, I want to talk about in a little bit, Robert. But when it comes to at least whatever we can tell about the parking calculations, with 11, 4, and 7, 19 spaces, are they? I'm sorry, 11, 4, and 7, 22, 20, 4 and 3. Yeah, 7. Are they likely to be in a safe area with that, or is that a close call? It seems to me to be a lot of spaces for a garage.
Yeah, it seems like it would work. I'd have to run the numbers to know for sure.
Okay. So,
I don't have the answer for that, but when I spoke to the lady that works for
Kelly.
Kelly, I think Kelly told me that I need obviously 4 spaces for the employees and 3 additional spaces. So I think when I spoke to her, I was under the impression that I need a total of 7 spaces.
that may well be. She wasn't certain enough to convey to us what the number was, so
Correct, yeah.
it still needs a little bit of detail. So for each of the car wash lanes, the existing one and the new one, each one requires 4 called
Correct.
stacking spaces.
Correct.
So tell me about your configuration that gives you the ability to
So-
back up 4 or 8 cars.
I mean, realistically, again, just this space from here to here, I mean, just the addition itself is 45 feet. A car is on average around 12 feet long, or so.
So some cars are. Mine's 20.
Yeah.
Is it that long?
You gotta figure.
Actually, wide was, sorry, yeah. But if, based on the existing configuration for the car wash, you can easily stack 2 cars in front of the entrance of the car wash and 2 cars pulling in from where my existing
Okay.
sign is.
So where you're showing
you
the
can
arrows is
easily,
about what
like
you're
from
envisioning?
here, you can easily stack 4 cars easily. If you're gonna start from the street where the stacking can start, we can at least put 15 cars, 12 to 15 cars. I mean, there's, the distance from here to here, you have more than 250 to 300 feet.
Okay.
Realistically, so the 4 per car wash or per bay is it's very safe to say we can at least stack 4 cars per bay.
Okay, I understand what you're saying. When you go in your entrance lane from the street across the top of the page,
Yeah,
go to the second black arrow,
this one.
second black one, next one.
No.
Nope, to your left. That one right there.
Ah, this one. Okay.
What's the half round thing right under the arrow?
I was trying to leave an opening to enter the vacuum island. It's nothing actually. It's just an opening in the lining. The lining for the parking lot line is to enter the
Okay.
vacuum island. So
So whatever that is, it's merely paint on the ground and
Correct, it's
somebody
just
will get
paint on
around
the
it or
ground,
drive
yeah.
around it. Okay, so closer to the entrance, well, let's go through all the red dots that
Okay.
are lights. Start by the entrance, the one right by
Correct.
the exit lane
So
right there.
this is an existing light pole.
Okay,
Mhm.
what
This is
kind
an-
of light is it? Is it a light pole or
A light pole.
low to the ground? How high off the ground is the light?
It's a regular light pole. I think it's 15
You know,
Yeah, 15 feet high, so
Okay.
just a standard size light pole, basically. It's an existing light
Is
pole.
that your light or is that
It
a
is mine.
utility light?
It's mine. So this is mine, and this is an existing light pole as well.
Okay,
So-
same thing?
Same thing, yes.
Okay.
So
Is
those,
there, did you make them different sizes for a reason, or just it worked out that way?
I honestly, I did the drawing myself. I'm not,
Best you
I'm
could-
not
okay,
that
gotcha.
great at it, so
Okay.
I did my best.
So
So those
then we
exactly the same size, the same height, same light bulb, same everything.
I gotcha.
They're existing light poles.
Okay.
This is an existing light fixture above the exit of the car wash. This is an existing light fixture that basically lights up this side of the car wash. This is an existing light fixture above the garage doors, or the existing garage doors. Existing light fixture above the entrance of the car wash. So the only one's addition will be around the new structure, which I'll be adding two lights on this side, one light above the waiting area entrance, one light in the middle, so it lights up, the main parking or main area here. Two lights above the vacuum island, so we can have enough light for anybody that's vacuuming their cars. An entrance light for the touchless car wash bay, and a light above each garage for the
Okay.
addition.
Are all the ones, all the new ones around the addition, are they gonna be mounted to the wall pack lighting?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Have you picked out what model of light or where you're gonna get them from, or how they're gonna be set up?
Honestly, I'm gonna try to match the existing lights that we have, which is LED. Those LED lights, they mount to the wall and point down to the ground. And
Okay.
I figured with the height of the garages, I have a 12-foot height, so it'll be at least 11 feet higher off the ground, pointing down towards the.
There are certain requirements that we have for that kind of lighting to be directed downward and to not spill over onto the neighbor's property.
Correct.
I think you're probably far enough from the neighbor's property that spillover really isn't gonna be a concern. But you do wanna have the directed downward lighting.
Correct,
on
and
this.
I understand that part as well, but we have two commercial properties on both sides that they both have lighting as well.
Okay.
So I think additional lighting they'll be happier with me if I have additional lighting versus it's pretty dark right now the way it is.
Understood. I know that neighbors may well be happy with it. It doesn't really affect the decision that we have to make, though.
Correct, sir.
So the second light that you pointed out to me, the one that's a little bit bigger and right in the middle of the parking lot, that one. What's the vac that's above that?
This is an existing vacuum island that's already there that I don't need to remove. It can stay in its place.
Okay, so you're keeping that vac island there
Correct.
and that parking space or that area.
Correct.
Are there gonna be markings on the ground to tell the people exiting the car wash which way to go to get out of there? Because
Abs-
otherwise they drive straight to your vacuum.
No, absolutely. So there'll be, I'm gonna repave the whole area after the construction is done and, paint, stripe the parking lot. And, right here, I am thinking about adding, like, not cones, whatever they call them, the plastic markers to
The bollard,
differentiate the
yeah.
entrance and exit, so.
Okay. So last time you were here, you talked a little bit about the kind of work you were gonna do in your garage. Are you talking about repairs, or are you talking about body work and painting, or?
I am talking about bodywork and painting. So initially, the application was submitted for an auto body shop. That's how I submitted the application. The office changed that into, I think, auto repair, because I think that's the only choice for town. So it was submitted that way, but it's an auto body repair.
Okay, so there'll be a paint booth in there somewhere?
Again, based on, I spoke to the DES. I reached out to the DES a few weeks ago, and after our meeting here, and just they sent me a list of their requirements for air quality and for paint booth requirements. And so there's a huge chart or a few pages of things that I need to abide by if I want to paint cars in there. I did some research. Based on the research I found, I honestly, after having to spend all the money on this, I can't afford to buy a paint booth right now. So we'll be utilizing, there's a few paint booths around, not in Merrimack, but there's in Nashua and Manchester. They rent them per job. So you do all the work here, and then you take the car and get it painted at a rented paint booth. So for at least the first year, and to see how business goes, we'll be utilizing that service, or until maybe I won the lottery and I can put a paint booth.
If I won the lottery, I wouldn't put a paint booth. Wave goodbye, you'd never see me again. So the garage that's existing, what kind of work do you do in the existing garage? The one that's that one, yeah.
This one. So this garage, we do basically auto detail right now.
Okay. If you are planning to put a paint booth in sometime in the future, but not now, do you have any objection if there's a note that says you can't paint on the site until there's a paint booth?
No, that's fine.
Okay. Others with comments or
Yeah,
questions?
Mr. Chairman, in that bay there, which is obviously where you're going to do the body work, you put the cars in that way, and how do they come out? Because if you back them out, the only way out for them is down through the car wash, as I see it. I was trying to work out, having driven a car in there and you beat all the dents out of it, how does that car get out of the site? It's got to back out through those doors. You
go against
can't go
traffic.
that way because you've got traffic coming. So the only way I see you're going to get it out is you're going to have to run it through the existing car wash. Have I got it right?
I understand. Well, as you know, I don't have traffic 24/7 over there, and
I understand that, sir.
The plan is, that's why we left this area open. I can go through the vacuum island and leave this way. I can go through the existing,
You're still running against, you're still going, if you're putting
You're
traffic
going against
flow,
your traffic, yeah.
you're going against traffic. I'm just trying to understand. I'm not trying to criticize. I just don't, you've got cars going in your self-service car wash. You've got cars coming in to go down your main car wash. How the heck does a car coming out of there get off the site?
So if the existing traffic flow is exactly where those
Yeah, I know
the
that.
lines are.
I use
So-
your facility regularly.
Thank you. So if we drive through here, you come into the car wash.
Correct.
There is plenty of space down this way. If I want to turn around and go back this way, there's another lane easily. You can drive through another lane.
So if you want to have a lane that way for that traffic, stripe the ground so that it's got markers that say so. Although it seems to me you'd save yourself a lot of headache by putting a door on the other side of your building.
That's what I was thinking. I assumed you'd put a door, you'd drive in and drive out, but that was, just speaking as a,
The existing area here is already striped and
I
will
know
be
that.
striped again after we do the paving. But again, I wish I have the traffic where there's cars lined up all the time. I haven't had that problem per se. If we run into that problem in the future, it's an easy addition to add a garage to the other side. The only reason I'm not adding a garage is just basically my architect recommended for that the garage be added on one side. It's
Maybe your
structural.
maybe your architect did, but he hasn't thought about it. The other question is, if you've got people coming in, are you going to have a waiting room for customers?
Yeah, that's
This is the waiting room that was added, which
But
is
that's your
14 and a
office.
half by 8. This is the office.
Okay.
Yeah, it just doesn't have all of its walls in the plan. But on the traffic, I want to go back to the traffic direction.
Yes, sir.
If you want to have traffic leaving your site, leaving your garage bays, your body shop bays, and going north behind your building, you got to put some lane markers on the ground to say how you do it. And I know that most of the time, you'll probably be the one driving a car out of there, but you never know when a customer is going to be back there.
I will never
either-
have customers back there. That's the whole plan. That's why this is the existing parking spots will be utilized for customers.
I promise you will, even if you don't want them there.
Okay.
They'll get there, they'll think that they can pull straight in, they'll change their mind halfway through the car wash lane, they'll do any number of, your customers will challenge whatever traffic flow pattern you think that there is. And if you want them to just have a way that they're supposed to use, show it to them.
Okay. Sounds good.
Put it on the ground.
Just
No,
take
absolutely.
it take it for granted.
I agree with you. Yeah.
And you've got I agree, you've got the room for it. Just kind of put some
Markings.
directions and some markers,
Yeah.
and you can, the area next to the vacuum, it looks like it's got plenty of room to have somebody rearrange the traffic a little bit. What else?
I don't think I've got anything else. I mean, I know what you're trying to do. I know the site well enough because I go there regularly. But I'm worried that this drawing does not prove adequate in my book for us to try and finally know what you're doing. It's very close.
Yeah, you're telling us what you want to do, but it's not all on the
It ain't
paper.
on the plans.
Nelson, do you have questions or comments?
Well, yeah, I have a few questions and comments. First, I'll take Alistair's lead on this. This plan, you've said a lot of things tonight that were probably the right answers to Bob's questions, but it isn't shown on this plan. It's not clear from what we've got here. The other thing about this plan is it doesn't show the property lines, or at least the property lines did not come out on my copy of this plan, okay? And the abutters are incorrect on this plan that I have. I can't read yours from here, but that they're not correct. So I would like to have a written narrative of some kind that goes with this. This is one of our usual requirements on a site plan like this, that you describe exactly in words what it is you're going to do here. If you want permission to paint, you gotta say that, and there's nothing on this plan that shows anything about painting or that there's a painting booth involved. You haven't talked about drainage from this new drive-through, do-it-yourself, and how you drain that. Where does that water go? Does that recycled water, or is that?
It is, sir. I mentioned that during the previous meeting. The plan is just to connect the existing, or to connect the addition to the existing drainage of the existing car wash. I have an oil water separator that is designed to hold basically, it's more than sufficient for an addition of 10 more wash bays based on the traffic that we have. The oil water separator is designed for 500 cars a day. I don't even do 50 cars a day. So there's plenty of, so the plan is to connect this to the existing oil water separator.
Okay, those are the right answers, but when you go out of this room tonight, if you want an approval of this, we have no record of it other than what's in the minutes, and that sometimes gets there and sometimes doesn't. So I think we need more information documented, Mr. Chairman, on what's going on here. And
Well, certainly,
Yeah.
certainly, I don't think the chairman and I could sign the plans. I mean, apart from the fact there's no signing block or a million of other things, but I think we've got the gist of what you've got, and your plans basically are sort of halfway there, and it's really a question of tidying up, putting the narrative so we know what's going on, preparing a set of plan or completing those plans with the extra details so we can sign them, and they certainly can't sign these. You're close, but not quite close enough, in my book.
yeah, I would agree.
I also agree, although I want to go through the exercise of listing out specifics that you should add, so that we don't have to come back and then we give you new things that you didn't think of before to add to it. I agree with Nelson that the answers to the questions about existing lighting and existing parking and those kinds of things are generally the right answer. I mean, if it's an existing light, we don't deal with it. But
To be honest, Mr. Chairman,
nothing here is labeled the plan.
if you read the note that Kelly put together dated August the 15th, actually, it's a very good note. It seems to me to spell out pretty well everything else
Okay, let's see it.
you've answered the questions. We just need to see them in writing so we can sign them. At least that's the way I look at it. I
So-
mean, I went through it, and I mean, I think she's, you've said everything we want to hear. Could we have it so we can sign it to say that we've all seen it and signed off on it? That's my opinion.
Which part of the note are you looking at that's got kind of the list of things that he should put on there?
Well, if you just look at, I don't know what page number, but it's page 4, item 13C. Just look at all that lot. I mean, that gives us pretty well everything we need to know, as well as basically the planning staff technical comments, chapter 13, on page 4. If all those things were written down, and of course we've got to mention the fire department, if a sprinkling system is ever going to do any paint spraying, which we're obviously not going to
Okay,
with worry.
so let's go through number 13. A is the narrative that Nelson wanted, so that's
Yes.
covered on here. B, the applicant shall show building setbacks required by the zoning district. Do you know what that means?
I understand what the setbacks are, and where
Okay,
the setbacks are, I'm within setbacks. I honestly did not, I did not go back to find out the exact setbacks for that,
You're
for that
okay.
so
zone.
the.
But
the-
I am within, I'm pretty
You are.
sure I'm within the setbacks.
No question, still has to be shown on the plan.
Show the
So-
property line, so you
Yeah.
know if you got a setback.
Yeah, well, I think they're really light, or they're not really clear to
They're right
figure
here,
out, but I think
this
that
is,
they are
this
on
is
there.
the property line.
Yep. So,
Label it.
the staff can give you a sense of what the, what the setbacks are, and then you just draw a box inside your property line that's at, 30 feet from the front, probably 20 from each side, and maybe 60 feet from the back is probably what your setbacks are. Robert, don't quote me. Let Robert fix it for you and get them right. So setbacks, and that will also highlight the property lines, and you can put a label on the property lines to say, property line or whatever.
Okay.
I don't know who the abutters are or what the question is about the ones that are shown on the map, but just verify that those are the correct ones that are shown in the Merrimack GIS or in the tax assessor's database.
The received notification,
Yep.
yeah.
Okay, so item C, the following typical plan notes should be added to the plan. The purpose of the plan, which is to say you should have somewhere on the plan itself, a little narrative says the purpose of this plan is to show an addition to an existing car wash and auto repair facility to add 4 bays of auto repair and an additional self-service car wash. And so a narrative like that was the purpose. North arrow is basically up. Yeah, you got one.
Yep.
Although, it looks a little bit left of north to me, but I'll take your word
The
for it.
computer decided that one.
Yep. Each one of the lots that are shown, which is yours and the one north and south of you, part of the description that you put on there is what size those lots are. You can get that from the assessor's database, and it'll say, probably in square feet, but it may also say acres, 1.3 acres, or whatever your lot size is. Who the owners of record are, which I think is what you've attempted to show with Tamposi and Patterson, but make sure that those are current. Where's your water gonna come from?
It's a town water.
How does it enter your property?
It enters from this side.
Okay, is that where your meter is?
Yes.
Your water meter?
Yep.
Okay, does it come straight from Daniel Webster Highway from there?
Yes, sir.
Sketch something in pencil that just kind of shows where that is. Sewer,
Sewer is also.
probably
right
in the
here.
same location.
Yeah.
Do your best to put that in there.
So
I
the-
think,
The water marker based on the town, it's right here somewhere,
Okay.
and the sewer line is right next to it.
so one of the things listed on this plan is soil types, which I think you're not gonna know. So you're gonna have to either find it on an old plan or ask for a waiver of that requirement.
Well, along those lines, it's a waiver of full site plan review, so not all of these necessarily apply unless the board requests that he provide the individual waiver requests for each of the items too.
Thank you for that, Robert. I'm not particularly interested in having him run down soil types. Is anyone?
No, me neither.
Cell type's okay here.
Building setbacks, we talked about. Vertical datum reference is a sense of what your elevations are.
Yeah.
I'm inclined to say that you don't need to do that because we're not changing where the water's gonna flow on this.
Should
The
be
entire site
available
is
from
already-
the old plan, Mr. Chairman.
It may be apparent
Yes.
to you from the old plan.
Because he obviously didn't start with that one.
No.
Yeah.
Although last time he came with an old plan with a bunch of stuff on it, we told him to take it all off. So, it's probably- because it clouded up the drawing, couldn't find stuff. So, Robert, can you help him with that one? Let him know if it's on the old plan, and if it is, how to show it on the new plan?
Yeah, it would just be a note, if the old plan had it, it would be listed as a note.
Yep. So number 10 on this list is a list of plan references, which means you just need to identify the plan that you started with. And you can refer to that by where it's recorded or wherever you got it. If if it's at the Registry of Deeds, plan number C575, whatever. I don't know where you'll get the FEMA flood information unless you already have it, because flood
Our
maps
office,
are
we get
paid.
the flood maps.
I
in our
can
office.
get.
You've got them? Stormwater ordinance notes.
That'd be the, if you have over 20,000 square feet of disturbance, which I don't know that this is the case here.
We
but
won't, I don't,
That's only then would that note apply.
okay. Note regarding regulations being part of the plan as required by 406, that's a simple statement that the staff will give you to put on the plan. Right-of-way permits notes. I don't think we're gonna have any of that.
Public Works always usually has a note that says if there's any work being done on the right of way, a permit's required.
Yep. On the next page, pre-construction meeting notes, if there are any of those. Statement of plan. What does that mean, Robert?
There's a statement in that section that says that the owner will agree to make all these improvements as shown on the plan.
Okay, so it's just a statement
that.
that he gets from you guys, he can put on there.
Yep.
Notes regarding any state permits. So when DES looks at your your spray booth, if you get one, are they gonna give you a permit for that? Is there a process where you've gotta get a permit, or how does
Yes.
that work?
Yeah.
You have to get a permit from
Okay.
DES to opt to.
So then
And
you're,
they'll come inspect it regularly, so it's regulated by DES.
with respect to what we would wanna have on your plan, it connects the thing that I said earlier to this, which is to say, no auto painting on site until there is a DES approved paint booth.
Paint booth, yeah.
And then when you obtain the permits, you want to let the town know what they are.
Sure.
And then if we grant waivers, you'll have some notes for that. So those cover a lot of the things. They don't cover all of the things that I want to have on there. So let's add a couple of things to the list. Please identify the existing lights by label, or the new lights by label, or different color or something, so I can tell what's new and what's not. Please do the second direction of the travel behind the building to the north. The stripes on the pavement that we were talking about. I want to see the parking calculations on the site. I'm pretty sure that you made it. I think that you've got plenty, but put them on the site, on the plan.
Can I just confirm the number of new bays, or the number of bays that are gonna be on site for auto body related work is how many?
Mainly it's 2 bays, but 2 bays that fit 4 cars, so I don't know if you consider them 4 car.
The way the, yeah,
4
it-
bays or 2 bays.
They're just talking about service bays themselves, the actual number of bays that exist. That's how the calculation.
So they don't count the doors, they count the number of slots inside your building where a car
4.
can sit and get worked on.
So 4.
All right.
4.
4
Thanks.
additional. Yeah.
Okay. Trying to think of what else we've discussed today that we want to see. Tom?
You mentioned your parking spaces that were some width by some length, and I suspect need to be a regulated width and length to call it a parking space. And if you said 9 feet wide
I
by
checked, but
11, then
I
that's not
checked
enough.
with Karen or,
If you look at it, he's actually
Kelly.
got it written there. You can't read it.
He does, but we don't know what the regulation requires them to
I
be.
have no idea what it says.
Well, I know you can't read it.
What size are those diagonal spaces? Do you have that written up there?
those are 9 feet wide.
9 feet wide?
Yeah,
9
and this
feet
is,
wide.
I copied the existing
The existing.
parking spaces,
Are 9 feet wide?
correct.
Is that?
I think a 9-foot width is sufficient for
It-
parking spaces, and you
it
can do 8 feet in
varies.
some places, but,
Yeah.
um,
Angle to travel lane, if it's 90-degree angle to travel lane, it's supposed to be 9 by 18. 60 degrees is 10 feet 6 by 22. 45 degrees is 13 by 25. And these aren't parallel clearly, so I guess
So
I need to
you're-
know exactly what the angle is in order to
Yours is
determine.
like 60, so there's,
Yeah.
it's supposed to be 10 and a half feet by 20 or something like that, just because you don't get all of the utilization when you have a
We'll,
main.
we'll get the exact number of parking spots, but I'm pretty sure there's more than enough.
Just so when you do calculations, just to make
Correct.
sure you meet the regulations for counting one as a parking space, is all I
Absolutely.
wanted to bring up. Thank you.
excellent comment, Tom. Oh, I forgot to ask earlier, in the way that you've got those angled parking spaces configured, what's in front of those spaces? Is there a curb stop or a wall or a curb area, island? Or do the cars just, no, where
The
if
other
I was gonna
side.
pull into the spaces, what stops my car from going forward?
There's actually, right here, there's a grass area between us and,
Okay.
and the property next door.
So it's not just painting on the ground that stops me from
Well,
going to
this
the
is the
next line?
painting and there's grass, this area here. There's another 5 feet of grass, 6 feet of grass.
Okay, and all of that is on your property, that
Yes,
grass?
sir, yeah.
Okay, and then, what's developed on the site to the north of you, the one that you have Dana Patterson?
This is Sky Mall.
Sky Mall,
Marijuana.
okay. So, more grass until you get to their building, okay.
And
so
then you
plenty
hit,
of-
then you hit the.
No, and you have concrete. I mean,
They have
they've
no
got
grass on
parking.
their
They've got
side.
parking along this, parking on that Sky Mall site. And of
On
course,
that
that's, the first building is the place where you can get your marijuana.
Understood. Okay, I just wanted to make sure there was something that stopped, there was,
Yep.
that in terms of how
Yeah.
those spaces were lined up.
You know, they have head-end parking that comes up towards his property.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right, there's an aerial in here, I could look at it. Are there other things that we've discussed tonight that we want the applicant, on your waiting area, draw the wall between the waiting area and the existing car wash. And write waiting area on it, and write office on the office.
It is noticed on the architect's plan, I just want to make sure.
Well, maybe
Yeah,
that
I'll-
helps, flip it
I'll-
around to the
correct,
architect's
yeah.
plan and go through that with me. Tell me what you got on that. You said it was submitted before, and I don't know if I remember
I don't remember that.
seeing
There
that.
was a
Was-
very
There
small
was-
scale picture.
Yeah,
So this is the
Can
existing
figure-
office that I have.
Yeah.
This is the proposed office or waiting area. He put it in as a proposed office and the main door entrance, basically. The garage is overhead garages, 9x7s on both sides, and the touchless car wash garage, which is bigger than, a little bit bigger than the other
Okay.
two garages.
So, in the work area, the body shop, on the left side of the page, are those windows in that wall or are those doors?
Those are windows.
Okay.
It says
So,
vinyl double hung windows.
Can't
there's-
read it from here.
No, I understand.
Um,
There's 3 of them.
What's the next building to the right of that?
This one?
Yeah, what's all that?
It's the same thing, it's just the foundation
Okay,
drawings.
all right, so a little bit more detail on how
Yeah.
it's built. And your vac island is gonna back right up to the bottom edge of that building?
Correct.
Does it exist, or are you moving that?
I have an existing vacuum island there, but it has to be moved back, actually, so it'll be more space where you park the car. So it has to be moved 3 to 4 feet.
All right,
back.
so I know that we're using move, but it's really you're getting rid of the existing one, you're gonna build a new one.
Correct. Well,
I'm gonna move the
You're not gonna
concrete
pick up
4
the
feet
concrete
back.
and move it.
no, absolutely. The vacuums themselves, obviously, I'm gonna
Yeah, keep-
reuse the vacuums, we
The
just
same
have to move
hardware,
the,
but you need a
or,
different base.
Okay.
correct, yeah.
Okay, understood. Does anyone, have we
Mr.
discussed
Chairman?
other things?
Yeah, I have one more thing that we
Nelson?
kind of omit. We haven't talked about how much of this site is paved. I think we should.
The whole
s-
site is paved, sir.
Whole site.
The whole
site's
site.
paved
Yeah.
today, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, all the way to the back line, to the Dana Patterson line,
So this whole area is paved. The only thing that's not paved is this.
Just that side.
and that's presently the condition. It's not,
It's grass.
But
Well,
that's what
well,
exists today, it's all that pavement, right? You're not
No.
adding any new
No, I'm
pavement?
not adding any new pavement.
There's no, the whole area, apart from the grass, where's my thingy?
I just-
Apart,
what is the change in pavement that we're
There's,
looking at?
there's
no
no
change.
change.
there's no
No
change
change.
of pavement.
Okay.
This bit here, Nelson, is
Yeah.
grass. Once you get to the end of the car wash, that's paved, and the whole
Yeah.
of this area is paved,
Yeah.
hard, solid.
Okay, that should show on this plan.
Yeah, I'm not arguing your point,
Yeah.
but it
Yeah.
is actually, he's not changing any impervious
Okay.
area or anything like
Well, it
that.
should be added
I
to that
submitted the
list.
original plan
Yeah.
that was done in 1980, and it shows the whole area, but I'll note it on
understand.
this.
So, as a part, more changes to the plan. Just write, landscaped area or grass area or whatever on the grass.
Okay.
And write pavement on the pavement. And in several areas so that we could see that it's basically all pavement.
Mr. Chairman, I think if the gentleman spends half an hour in the office, they could pretty quickly straighten out these little issues, taking the notes from today's meeting. I think he could get his plans into a shape where they could be brought back to this board in possibly a month, and we could sign everything off.
I agree with almost all of that. I want him to go into the office and get all the things straight and then take it back to your computer and put it in don't give me a handwritten plan with a bunch of script. Just get all the notes, get all the information that you need, and then take it back home and make it nice on the computer, so that we could see it and
That's what I
recognize it.
tried here. Try to do everything. But
I-
I honestly,
much
I
improved.
went by the last meeting.
Yeah.
I went by exactly what you folks asked for, and when I went to the office, I think maybe Robert highlighted
Yeah.
what I need to do, and I went and I tried to do everything that was
Yeah.
highlighted.
I-
Again, I don't have experience with this, so it's just a little bit harder for me to.
Of course.
Yeah.
Understood,
If I-
and it's much improved.
I
Don't
think-
spend a lot of time, but if you could make your light fixtures all the same size, I wouldn't hate that.
I think at this point, most of it is really just gonna come down to the sheet of notes, kind of detailing everything out. I mean,
Yeah.
a couple of corrections on that, but most of it is the actual handwritten notes, and we can certainly work with them to get the actual language that we need to
Yeah.
get on there. If I could also just request that the scale be shown on the plan too, because
Okay.
we need something for that.
Mhm.
But yeah, we certainly come
Um,
in and look straight.
Scale and a signature block, and it has to have the owner's signature on it too. Anything else that we should discuss?
I think we've discussed everything. I hope we've captured it all for him.
Robert, have you got a running list?
As best I can.
All right, there's a bunch of things on there from from Kelly's email, memo, and the things that we've added, so I don't really want to use a lot of time to rehash it all, but.
So if I did math real quick while the discussion was happening, if I did it correctly, I've got 21 required parking spaces. I've got 1 space for the office, 8 for the car wash, and 12 for the auto body, because at which point you need to have at least 3 per service bay, and there's 4 bays. So that's gonna come with 21, but again, as a waiver of full site plan review, it's the
Yeah.
board's jurisdiction to,
Does your 8 for the car wash, is that the stacking spaces?
that includes the stacking spaces.
Okay, so the spaces that he's showing, the 11 angled spaces, the 4 and 3, 7 other straight-in spaces, those 18, he'd really have 26 if you counted the 8 stacking spaces.
Again, that's also if the spaces are angled properly, the 11 that he's showing, and if he
Agreed.
loses any there.
Agreed. So, all right. Understood. I think as long as we've got spaces of the appropriate dimension and enough information to know what the calculation says and what he has on site, the board can make a decision about whether to accept that as being the right number of spaces or look for some more. And I think that I'd be inclined to think that there's enough. How
Robert?
does 12 for the auto body shop come out? Why does our formula spit out so many for a 4-bay auto shop?
Because that comes down to 1 per 800 square feet, but no less than 3 per service bay. And I was told there's 4 service bays, so there's 12.
Gotcha.
Aren't there 2 existing service bays, though? In the car wash building there
This is the
itself?
car wash, correct? Yeah.
So does that
Where
give you
you
6
doing your
service
detailing?
bays, or?
It's detail based. I don't know how how to look at them. I mean,
How many
those
in
are
there?
existing.
Two more.
There is 2 bays here, yes.
Yeah.
If that's the
Now, do
question.
those, the bays themselves count as well as spaces? Wouldn't they, Robert?
I would say yeah.
Okay, so that makes 26 plus 4, 30, plus the other 2, 32. He's got a plan that's showing 32,
Yeah.
if they were all kind of pointed out on that site.
And the detailing for the car wash, there's a specific category for car wash. It just says 1 per employee, so the detailing may be associated with that you could kind of
Consider that a car
wiggle
wash?
it a little bit.
Okay.
I mean, there is, you know,
Yeah.
if I want to squeeze a few parking spots, you can still
You could, Mr. Lawrence.
put more spots down here. so.
Yes, you could.
I think you may well have enough once we sort of figure out what counts as a space and whether they're all the right dimensions and things. But the staff will help you get that information, because really, once we get it, the plan should have on it, we need X spaces for the car wash, X for the service bays, and we have 32, and they're all labeled with numbered where the spaces are and all that. Tom?
Do you have a trash dumpster on your site?
I'm sorry, what?
Do you have a dumpster on your
I
site
don't.
for trash?
I do not.
What are you gonna do about trash that's developed through
I-
your garage?
I mean, honestly, I just go to the dump once a week.
You're just gonna leave it in cans inside your bays? until
Correct,
you-
yeah.
Oh,
I have a
right.
few large trash cans that we use, and once a week, I just load them up in the truck and take them to the dump.
Okay.
Okay.
If if that process works for you, that's fine with me. Whatever you tell us, though, you gotta continue to do. If you want a dumpster, figure out where it's gonna be and draw that in there too. And, you know, we'll figure out if it fits with everything that we require with
Honestly,
dumpsters.
it's just a lot cleaner this way. It's just because, I have always somebody, and I have a truck and at the car wash that anytime we have more than 3-4 bags, and I have my house, I need to take
Yeah.
my house trash as well, so I kind of do that 1 or 2 runs a week.
Understood. The body shop is gonna generate 10 times more trash than what you've got on your site today, though.
That's more metal than anything else, and there'll be metal pickers, I guess, if you want to call them that.
Certainly, you can get your metal recycled. You're
Yeah.
gonna have a whole lot of sanding dust and all of that stuff too. But anyway,
Yeah.
if you're happy with the system, I am. But if you say you're not gonna have a dumpster, then one better not appear there next week.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Dan, you haven't had any
No,
comment.
quit.
Do you have anything you want to add?
No, I'm all set. I mean, I think, appreciate you coming in and clarifying a lot of this stuff. It was a little bit hard to read, but I think I get it now.
Thank you.
Okay. So, is there anything else that we should discuss? Anything else that you need from
Well,
us?
Mr. Chairman, are we going to accept this for review and then allow him just to come back with the corrections and we approve it? Or are we saying we haven't got enough information to even officially accept it?
I guess that's up to the will of the board. My personal position is continue both the acceptance and the consideration of it.
I just asked the
till we've got it
question.
all together. But if other people
I'm
disagree.
okay with that.
I agree with you.
I mean, it doesn't make any difference from the applicant's standpoint. We'll do them both at the same
Yeah.
night when they're ready to be done.
Yeah.
Um,
The question I have is just because of, winter is around the corner. Is there any way I can get a conditional acceptance where I can actually submit? Obviously, I'll submit everything you need, but at the same time, I can submit for a building permit. This way, I can use that time at the same time and just try to get.
No.
So the acceptance.
I won't start
Sure,
anything
sure.
until it's accepted, obviously, but can I do
Yeah.
that? I'm not sure if this is possible, just to kind of,
Not, so the acceptance that we were talking about is taking the application in to begin review of it. And
Okay.
then the approval comes at the end of that process. So even if we accepted it for review, it doesn't get you to get a building permit until
Okay.
you have your plan ready for final approval. And even then, you gotta do whatever the conditions are on the plan so that we can sign them. Then you're able to get a building permit.
Okay.
However, once you get to all of that part, building permits are issued in a day or two. I mean, they're not slow.
okay.
You go down to the fire department, you can usually walk out with it especially if you make an appointment with them so they know you're coming.
Sounds good.
So, yeah, I don't think that I can save you any time on the building permit process. What's the available date to come back? I think that we've published our September 4th.
It's got to be the
Agenda
18th of
today.
September, Mr. Chairman.
I think that's right. I think that's the next available meeting. Robert, is
Yeah.
that right?
It was recommended that we go to October 16th, but
Was the
does
recommendation
push it
in the sense that it would take him longer to get his stuff together, or?
Yeah, the recommendation was only in the sense that depending on what the board had for questions, it would give him the time necessary to put together the amount of detail.
Okay. So that's really a question that's up to you. We can give you more time to get your plan together, but you're the one that's trying to beat winter time, and so.
I mean, I can do all that stuff mostly in one day. Hopefully, I can answer all the questions you folks have and just put
Okay.
everything on the plan that I need. And September 18 actually would be great. That will leave us enough time, hopefully, to break ground and do the foundation and everything
Excellent.
else.
So what's the will of the board with
Mr.
respect to potentially continuing both the acceptance and the review to September 18th?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we continue the acceptance and the review till the date of September the 18th in this room with no further notice to abutters.
Is there a second?
Kind of
Second,
assuming the
Mr. Chairman.
butters have been notified.
Second by Nelson. Yes, I think Tom's question, comment is appropriate.
I didn't hear it, I'm sorry.
Assuming that we've correctly identified the abutters and notified them
Oh,
already.
Yeah.
Robert, are you confident that we've done that?
Yeah, the abutters have definitely been identified and noticed. He had to notice an entire condo complex for this, and that was part of the reason for the cost. It's just, he probably carried over information from the previous old 20, 30-year-old plan and just
Okay.
put it here, that's all.
So these may not be the same people that got notice, depending on whether they happen to still own the property, and they probably aren't. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're happy with notice, the staff is happy with notice. There's a motion to continue to September 18th with no further notice to abutters, properly seconded by Nelson. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? 5-0-0 to do that. So
Thank you, sir.
thank you. Thank you for going through the presentation. Good job. That there. Our item 4 on our agenda is Merrimack Stone Industries as the applicant and Adherex Incorporated as the owner. Continued review for acceptance and consideration of a site plan to construct a 7,000 square foot warehouse. The parcel is located at 7 Webb Drive in the I-1 Industrial District, tax map 2D lot 35, and the item is continued from our July 17th, 2018 meeting. Robert, is there anything that we need to know before we hear from the applicant?
Just to reiterate that the plans that went out in your packets were inadvertently the wrong ones. We didn't catch it in time, so before you tonight, you saw on the table in front of you the actual correct plans. The correct plans were reviewed by staff. They're submitted by the applicant a little while ago. CLD has also issued their comments, and it seems like the applicant's done a pretty nice job of addressing those, so they're well on their way of addressing the comments that the board made in CLD as well. There are 2 additional waiver requests that the applicant has submitted as a result of the last meeting that are in your, that's in your packet. One for section 12.05 for building design, that was last time, I think. Sorry, section 10.01 for landscaping requirements and 11.04 for site lighting.
Okay, thank you, Robert. So first, thank you for allowing Mr. Gannon to use your easel for his presentation. Oh, is it? And then please introduce yourself and tell us where we're at with your project.
My name's Earl Sanford, Sanford Surveying and Engineering.
Touch your microphone, make sure it's on.
Oh, yeah.
One or the,
Earl Sanford, Sanford Surveying and
yeah, you're on,
Engineering.
yeah.
I'm Alex Pilotta. I'm the president of Merrimack Stone Industries.
Alex, nice to meet you. So tell us what we've done from last time to this time, where we're at with things.
All right, so I guess I'll start by addressing the 2 extra waivers that we're looking for. One was for an overall landscaping plan. What we have done is shown a planting schedule 25 feet on center along the road as part of the plan in lieu of a full-blown. And we do have planting details, so it's a partial a partial design, but we're looking so it's not a full waiver. It's just a partial waiver to have to do it all around. We've got wooded all along this side, woods here, and contours that make it not as critical an area. So that's for the landscaping, and then for the lighting, we showed all the lights, and we also have a fixture, wall packs down with the model number and everything on there, downcast. But we didn't do the contour things, so that's, again, we're asking for like a partial waiver, to not have to do a full lighting plan with showing what the intensity is. It's all right around the existing building, that there's enough space so it's not wouldn't be in someone's face. Again, it's industrial as well, so it's not, that's, I guess, the basis for that waiver. So that's, I think, the main thing. There's been a lot of little details in terms of just taking looks at we have 3 drainage basins that we'll be utilizing to both treat and store the storm water, which based on our calculations is more than adequate to handle the impervious area that we're creating in this area. So you have the existing building, you have the existing road. We're adding a second access off the driveway, not off, it's not a curb cut, because it's coming off the driveway that's existing. And it has room to maneuver. There's a loading dock there. It'll be sloped up to the back and sloped up to come to the front where it's existing. We've shown, the other thing we showed is that in transition, he'll wheel out some racks of like cut granite, and they're often stored there temporarily while the truck has come to pick them up, rather than put them in the warehouse and then take them back out. There's a so that functionality I think we discussed, and it was like put it on the plan then, so we have. That's pretty much, there was some discussion about, there's parking here now, and the light off the building has been adequate for what's there now, so we aren't proposing additional lighting other than what's on the building now. So that's pretty much it. I think there was a long list of to address, but we weren't gone through item by item, and I don't know if there's the need to reiterate that, but I'd be happy to open it up for any questions. And
Presumably, you didn't mention it, but we noticed from looking at the revised plans that the main driveway is now 24 foot instead of 20 foot.
yes, thank you.
It's all right.
Thank you. So I don't have any specific questions. I don't know if other members of the board do, or whether the board's prepared to take up the 2 extra waiver requirements for a partial waiver of the landscape and a partial waiver of the lighting plan. Questions first. Anybody got any questions for the applicant?
No.
If not, then is there, what's the will of the board with respect to the 2 requested waivers?
Chairman, I'd like to make a request, a motion that we accept both waivers in one motion, based for improve that the lighting plan is adequate with what's there, and the landscaping requirement with the addition of the trees has met our requirements, and I vote that we grant the waivers on the basis that strict conformity would pose an unnecessary hardship to the applicant.
Is there a second for Alistair's motion to grant both waivers? Nelson? Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? 5-0-0. Is there any general discussion by the board? Any member of the public wish to weigh in on the application? No. Okay. Then we'll close the public hearing. If there's no further discussion with the applicant or public input, is the board prepared to take final disposition on this application?
Chairman, I make a motion that we grant final approval for this project, subject to all the conditions in the letter dated August the 16th, 2018, from Mr. Robert Price.
Is there a second for Alistair's motion? Nelson? Dan, we'll count Dan this time. He's
Oh,
just
good.
a little slower
Oh,
than
give
you.
him
Every
a
time
turn.
I
Yeah.
look to the right.
Yeah.
You shouldn't have sat over there, Nelson.
Motion by Alistair, second by Dan, to grant conditional final approval, subject to conditions in the memo. Robert, is there any other business that we need to add to a motion for that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? 5-0-0 to grant approval. Thank you guys for
Thank you
coming in.
very
Thank you very much, and not having that long, prolonged project in front of us this time.
Yes, that's true too. A little bit of a discussion. Get some stone out here? That'd be nice. Do it.
We're looking for donations.
I like
We're looking
it.
for donations.
I like it. Comedian. A late night comedian.
All right, so item 5 is discussion and possible action regarding other items of concern, and there are 2 items listed here. One is having a bit of a discussion about preferences or our future with respect to using electronic instead of paper planning board packets.
I know Nelson will support me on this, Mr. Chairman. I have to say that electronic submission of plans is not very clever as far as using the average computer or the average laptop. I'm told that if with the right kit you could actually get it to work on your television screen, but I'm not sure that the town wants to fund that. So I would be quite happy to have the notes electronically, but I still say we want hard copy plans.
So I guess I'm kind of stuck on, I don't understand why you guys don't zoom your computer. I mean, you could like control, click, and zoom right in on any part of the plan you want. Doesn't matter to me, fine.
You can do that, Mr. Chairman, but it's very difficult to get the overall semblance of what you're looking at,
All
in
right,
my
fair enough.
humble opinion.
So my understanding from
Oh,
our
so
last
humble.
conversation with Tim is that they could really honestly give each one of us whatever we wanted and have paper for the people that want paper and a link on a website for everybody that wants to go to the website and get it. Is that true, Robert? If that's the
If
case,
that's the case, what are we voting on here?
well, we could allow staff to start responding to whatever each individual member chooses for their preference.
It's fine with me. Sounds good.
Yeah, I have no problem with that, because I'll get what I want.
Now, Robert, is that, I know it doesn't save you any work if you're doing some packages, but does it add any work to the process to do electronic?
Not really, because everything we do is generated electronically through the course of the week anyway, so.
Okay. So I think the other benefit to that is that any member of the public not just has the agenda, but they've got everything that we've got. If they want to see it, read it ahead of time, take a look at it. If there's a 25-page plan, have at it. Get a look, come prepared to talk about it. I think that's great transparency. It'll probably bore them to death, but I like the idea. Maybe a 28 megabyte download to get those plans to open. But all right, I'm with Nelson that I'm not sure this actually needs a vote, but I think if the staff is willing, send out an email prompting people to tell you what they want. I'm going electronic. So there's my opinion. I'll bring an iPad for mine. And we'll go on from there. The other item on the discussion is Townsend Place Clubhouse request. Robert, I'll let you introduce this.
Okay, so a couple of weeks ago, or a month ago, whatever it was, the planning board gave conditional approval to the Townsend Place condo project off of Bowers Landing Drive. We since met with the developers of the project who could not be here that night. They had gone back and talked to their representative who was here, Matt Peterson. There was some discussion about a clubhouse, I guess, that the board had, and Mr. Peterson said that he could get a clubhouse constructed. But the developers had I guess, different discussion with the other folks that are out there. And they sent in an email with us after meeting with us and asked us to run this through the board. So I'm going to read their lengthy email for you and ask you what they are looking for to have you decide. So it says, hello, Robert. Thanks very much for yours, and they wrote zoning boards, but planning boards, support of our project at Bowers Landing Drive. Bob and I are pleased with the overall project and look forward to continuing our vision on the next phase of homes. We had the opportunity to review the conditional final approval letter as well as the video of the planning board meeting on the 17th. Unfortunately, neither Bob or I could attend that meeting, which is why we wanted to take this opportunity to discuss condition number 5 regarding the clubhouse. While planning the next phase of the project, Bob and I thought it would be beneficial to approach the board of Blanchard Point and discuss expanding their association by way of merger of our to-be-formed association and Blanchard Point. The discussion was based upon two advantages, control, and economies of scale. We told the board we would not be building a clubhouse and instead would be providing outdoor open space amenities, including outdoor patio, grilling, fire pit area, gazebo, and a fitness dog area, to integrate with the trail access which we as an abutter to Pennachuck have access rights to. The board supported these amenities as well as the concept of merging. The merger itself, however, would require a 67% vote of the beneficial interests in Blanchard Point, which is difficult to receive under favorable conditions in any condominium association. One of the board's concerns was the economies of the project as far as impacting their current condo fees. One issue being the sewer pump station, a question they raised at the planning board meeting as to who owns and maintains this system. We have the same concerns as the condominium fee is a critical part not only for sales and marketing, but also the long-term viability of the association. Considering the additional burden of the sewer pump station, the main road cost sharing, landscape requirements, etc., we believe our marketing team had agreed that in the best interest of the future association and capturing sales, that we not consider building a clubhouse and instead provide the outdoor recreational amenities. This was well received internally with our potential customers and current owners. We acknowledge our engineer represented that our plan could accommodate a clubhouse instead of our planned recreational space. What was not considered at the time of the meeting was the economic considerations. Therefore, we would appreciate if your office and the planning board would reconsider the condition of building a clubhouse if no merger takes place with Blanchard Point. Our position is that the economics do not work for the 65 homes in the association, given the other costs related to the maintenance of this community, and that we will meet the PUD requirements of providing amenities to the community through the use of creative outdoor open space. This is a valued amenity which will highlight the beautiful natural landscape that abuts the southern portion of the development. In addition, my experience tells me that if the merger is not approved in the near future, it will at some point be reconsidered by both associations. Therefore, consideration should be given towards duplicating amenities such as a clubhouse, which may make that prospect less attractive. Thank you for your consideration, Jeff Ewing and Bob Folsom. So, after all that, basically the condition he's referencing currently reads, the applicant shall indicate a clubhouse for this phase of the development on the plans as applicable, with appropriate notes indicating that it is to be constructed if the homeowners association is unable to utilize the clubhouse that is part of the previous phase of the project. So the question before you guys is, do you feel that the provision of the outdoor recreation facilities that they're seeking to do instead of the clubhouse sufficiently meets the condition that I just read? If you do feel that's the case, then we can move on and just keep on going. They'll keep their plan designed as it is. If you don't, they will have to come back before the board and have that condition amended.
Okay, so Robert did a good job of covering both the substance and the procedure, but just to highlight it, procedurally, if we accept the idea that outdoor grilling area and fire pit and a gazebo is the equivalent of the clubhouse that we asked for in our condition, if we say that that meets the condition of a clubhouse and vote that tonight, then they've got all the relief that they need. If we do not do that, because a clubhouse is a clubhouse and a gazebo is a gazebo, then they come back before us and propose that we actually eliminate the condition and put in some substitute condition in order to end up with the same relief. So as you develop your position, there are one substantive question and two procedural ones. The substantive one is whether you're willing to accept the substitute of amenities from clubhouse to outdoor stuff. That's the substantive one. And the procedural question is, if you do accept the gazebo and outdoor fire pit for a substitute for the clubhouse condition, which of the two routes to get there are you willing to vote for? Deciding that it is effectively the same as a clubhouse as the way the condition's already written, or they've got to come back and make a presentation to us and we've got to put it on an agenda with notice to abutters and officially change that condition. I don't know if my explanation added or just kind of went around sideways from what Robert had said.
Could I ask therefore, Mr. Chairman, to explain to me what is in the clubhouse, on the existing clubhouse, that will not be in the gazebo? I mean, I'm immediately thinking of bathrooms. What else is in the clubhouse? You don't know what's in the clubhouse?
I've never been in it.
That makes two of us.
Yeah, I have not been, but in any number of apartments that I've lived in over my time, the clubhouse has usually got something that looks a bit like a large living room with maybe a television that people could come watch the Super Bowl in if they wanted to, or have a birthday party if they had some friends over, a couple of bathrooms, some kind of a primitive kitchenette
or something.
Kitchenette, and maybe a little room with 2 treadmills and a bike. That's probably about what clubhouses amount to in these things. I don't know whether theirs would have any of those things or some combination of them, or it would just be basically a community gathering spot where you could get together and play poker or whatever you'd want to do.
Did this not involve a pool or any of that kind of stuff? Or-
Theirs have never involved a pool.
There is a pool in Bowers Landing,
Yeah.
probably the first phase going in behind the Dunkin' Donuts.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
So
I guess I assume the others would too, but
yeah.
but maybe they don't.
I appreciate what the applicant has said about the economies of this, and particular that their condo fees are important to their development. And they've actually indicated that it it can affect the viability of the project to add, I don't know what a clubhouse costs. If it's about the size of a house, figure it's gonna cost what a house costs, $200,000.
House doesn't.
No,
No, that's what you sell houses for, Mr. Chairman. I mean, to build a clubhouse cost about 65,000. I would have thought would be the order of. So it's
I think you may
1,000.
be using your 1950s. I think you may be doing your 1950s money. But,
I don't know.
when you do clubhouses, you're going to be you're not going to be exempt from your fire sprinklers and all the public gathering concepts and things that go with it. That's not.
All right.
It's not
Not
trivial,
that
but
too-
it's not, I don't think it's a full
Yeah.
house construction cost either, but maybe it is.
It may well be. I'm speculating as much as anybody else. But they did present the concept that adding extra costs for amenities and I guess the future maintenance of it is something that affects their condo fees in a way that they think is pretty important. I think it's an interesting concept because in a different project, I asked about condo fees and whether putting too many amenities in was going to cost you money, and we didn't really want to hear that.
Couple of thoughts come to mind, Mr. Chairman. First of all, the clubhouse is a lower cost, I think, than the number you wanted. The fees that they're talking about would be the fees that would apply to these new people, right? To be members of the clubhouse.
So no,
That's what
that's-
we're talking about.
No,
We're
it's-
not affecting people who are already in the clubhouse, in the.
It
club.
could, because they're merging the two condo associations. And once they merge, they're all in the same boat together. They all pay the same condo fees or conceivably, whatever. They're
Yeah.
merging Bowers Landing with whatever this current one is
And
called.
why wouldn't that lower the cost of the people who are already in it? If you're inviting a bunch of new people to come in to your club.
Because you're
without-
adding the roadways for plowing and mowing and a new clubhouse to maintain and all of that area that's for the new development.
I thought the problem,
we-
Mr. Chairman, was that
They're
they
gonna share.
didn't think the existing condo association would agree to an influx of new members and therefore reducing the availability of space, and therefore a second clubhouse might be needed. That's what I think the problem was.
That,
But
that
I'm-
may,
I'm-
that may
Sure,
once
but-
have been the discussion, but what we're hearing from the applicant now is absolutely not that. But that the existing residents of Bowers Landing aren't gonna vote to merge with a new condo association if it adds cost to them.
And why?
And adding a new condo
Sewer
association,
pump station and whatnot, or added expenses that this new building phase has got,
yeah.
that the other one would have to assume a portion of if you merged them.
Oh,
And that's where the extra cost was gonna come into the potential new
pumping station.
Yeah.
overall.
Yeah.
Yes, I mean conceivably, things like
Huh.
roadways and lawns are added proportionally with the number of houses you
Yeah,
add. So they
yeah.
all end up basically, you know, the bill goes up, but the number of people paying it also goes up, and it all works out to be about the same. But if there's new sort of extraordinary costs, like the sewer pump station and its maintenance, or clubhouses, or whatever, they could end up with an overall increase at the existing condo. And the applicant is as
Okay, I
much as
didn't
saying so right
understand
here.
that, Yeah.
So that raises the point, we're listening to a narrative of a letter that describes some things. We haven't had a chance to look at them, we have questions about what's there. I think it's very difficult for us to make an informed decision tonight to accept anything, and that we need to have them come forward and present what the plans are and what they're suggesting. I mean, to say some barbecue pits and a gazebo doesn't tell me very much. And granted, to say a clubhouse doesn't necessarily tell me a lot either, but at least I felt like I had a better understanding last time than what I do at this point.
I agree with your course of action, but for a different reason.
Okay.
I wanted to see, I want to have them come present the information and give us more details, and that's great. But the reason why I think that they need to do that is because gazebo's not a clubhouse. I mean, it's
Well,
not a zebra either. I mean, it's, if you, we
I
had a
certainly
condition that
agree,
said
but-
clubhouse. If you want that to change, you got to go through the process of amending a site plan.
Yeah. I
Not
wanna-
interpreting it to say, well, a clubhouse could be a gazebo.
Well, they were making an argument
Well,
that,
no, that's what, the only relief we could give them tonight is to say the clubhouse condition is satisfied by a gazebo.
And outdoor
and
grills
some
and
barbecue pits.
recreation
Yeah.
space and stuff like that, yeah, I mean, it's.
Mr. Chairman, the simple answer is, as a sort of, and I'm not an accountant, but the only way I could agree to anything is I want to see what numbers they're playing around with. I mean, are we talking about thousands of dollars or a couple of dollars extra a week? I'm sorry, that I think, to add to your comment, I would like to see an economic justification for us to change the plans.
So the last time that we got into condo fees, and I was the one kind of after it a little bit, I was given a little bit of scolding about getting into the economic development kinds of concepts. The applicant's able to propose to us whatever he thinks he wants in his development, and telling him that, you know, you don't like the cost of things isn't really the answer, is our usual approach to these kinds of things. Propose what you choose to propose. The true question is, ultimately, when they're here before us next time, is have they supplied amenities that we're satisfied with? Whether it's a pool or a clubhouse or a tennis court or barbecues and some walking trails. I don't have any objection to their approach to amenities. I think clubhouses don't get used very much in most places. I think most of the time, even if you live there, 90% of the time when you go there, the door's locked. And then you gotta go find the key to the damn thing from whoever the manager is, who isn't on site, and
Well, I have a little different experience. Ours gets a lot of use, the clubhouse that I am. But there's one other aspect of this I think we ought to take into consideration. It is my recollection, this whole development was part of a planned unit development. And extra density bonuses were given over the then existing zoning to allow for higher density. And part of that was that along with it could come some commercial, which is a part that's built already. And that there would be amenities that went with the living sections. Now, subsequent to that, they kind of broke this up into little pieces. And now they've got a piece that isn't working. They built a clubhouse over here, and it's not working here. I'd like to go back and, I'd
you're
like to
saying
get,
what's not working? I didn't get
Well,
anything
they-
from the applicant that's not working.
well, what's, not-
They don't want to build the amenities.
they don't want to
Well,
build
they
them in.
built a clubhouse in the Bowers Landing part.
Yeah,
And
but
so
it-
this little piece isn't
but
going to have access to
The
it.
people
Right,
who live
but
there
it
are
is gonna
supposed to have access to it.
amenities. It's just not that amenity.
Okay, but they say they don't want to build a clubhouse for that.
Right.
I'm just agreeing with Nelson that we seem to have lost the big picture
I think we've
as
lost the
they've
big
divided it
picture.
into small
I'd like a
pieces.
little research on that, if the staff could look into that and see what was, at various times, it was subdivided, it's been subdivided into phasing, if you will.
Yep.
And now we've got a phase that can't
Um,
afford to live there, or,
That makes a lot of sense to go back and kind
Yeah.
of know what the overall concept was about and how that was
Yeah.
presented to us.
yeah.
And in a PUD, that should be pretty simple because it should be a master planned kind of a
Yeah.
concept. So, to address the question that's before us tonight, we're not willing to call Zebra a clubhouse?
No.
No.
All right, so Robert, they've got to come before us with a actual presentation to amend their site plan, remove that condition, and make all the appropriate arguments, convey to them the message that Nelson had with respect to the board's interest in understanding the original kind of master plan for the PUD and how it related to amenities. The applicant should be bringing us that information, not, that shouldn't fall on staff to do.
Sure.
That's the reason
Yeah.
for reminding
That's
it to
right.
them.
Yeah.
Anything else that we should convey to the applicant about this one? Okay. Are there any other discussion items that anyone would like to bring forward?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, if you recall at the last meeting, I brought to the attention of the board that I'd done a survey, and a very quick survey, and found 21 banner signs floating around on Daniel Webster Highway. I have since done a thorough survey, and I have to state that I got the number wrong. There aren't 21, there are 32 banner signs through the town, and I am not including in that the 4 banner signs that attempt to look like the flag of the United States of America. I have in fact listed them out. Now, if you recall, Mr. Thompson said he would write notes to all these people telling them to stop using them, but quite frankly, 1, 2, 3, I've got a copy, you can all have a copy of what I've got. It's ridiculous that we,
Let's see.
here's a copy for Nelson,
What do you mean by a banner sign?
a sign that's a post like that with the
Post with
flag.
the flag.
It's a
hanging
flutter
up.
flag is what it
Oh,
says.
like,
Our
I got you.
regulations don't allow
And in particular, the reason I bring this up,
One more.
sorry, is that if you, the really bad
Yes, I
ones
know.
are, if I may be so bold, are the 3 signs that are at Portofino Restaurant. And if you go by those, when the wind's blowing in the
Goes right
but in
the
the
road.
right direction, they actually can strike the windshield of your motor car. They are in the town's right of way, and they are quite, in my opinion, quite dangerous.
Where was that?
Portofino Restaurant down
Canals.
near the
Canals.
right aid in the town centre. Those are frankly dangerous. I mean, speaking as a motorist, I think they are a severe distraction in the right wind conditions. But this, frankly, to have 32 banner signs floating around this town, we either say we don't have any sign ordinances or we do. I don't think we can expect Mr. Thompson to send out all these letters or Mr. Thompson and his staff to do it. I think it's a matter that we have to do something about or do nothing about. I don't know how to do it. My view is I'd like to present this to the town council and say, this is what we've got to do something about it. However, I'm mindful that the last time I brought it before the town council, one member of the council, now no longer a councillor, tore me to pieces about I think the First Amendment or something. But what do we want to do? Are we going to give up? But I can tell you there are more signs on DW Highway in Merrimack than from the full length of 101A from Library Hill to the Merrimack-Nashua town line. I think it's quite appalling that we're allowing these things to flutter in the breeze, but that's me.
All right, so I get the inventory that you've taken. We have an ordinance, and it doesn't allow these kinds of signs, and so the enforcement mechanism is to report them to the department, and the department will send out enforcement letters to tell everybody to take their signs down. What would we be asking the town council to do about, I mean, we don't need a change in ordinance. We already got an ordinance that says you can't do it. We've already got a department staff. I mean, I know that they're got other things to do, and it's always a matter of competing time, but there's a department charged with enforcing these things.
And they should be tasked to do it.
All right, well,
All it takes to task to do it is to, here, Robert, this is a service request.
Exactly. That's it. And I've told this to other departments, fire department, various other departments who have requested things like that. If we get a formal service request, we will respond to it.
all right. Well, Mr. Thompson was sent this list. He has already got it, so we would, through this board, ask him to act accordingly.
But
I would like to make a
I think
It doesn't have to
you
go
need
through the
give
board.
It's not the form.
service request
We need the
form.
form. Yeah, the form.
Yeah, it doesn't have to go through
I
the board.
will
Any
call-
individual that fills
I
out
will
the
call
form.
in the office tomorrow and fill out the forms. Thank
Um,
you,
okay.
Mr. Chairman.
Other items of concern?
Now, that'll do for tonight.
Are you thirsty or something?
No, I just meant, I haven't prepared myself as well as you have. Alistair, you've done the town a service with this, and I thank you for it. It's annoyed me for a long time, and I haven't done anything about it.
Okay, so the next item on our agenda is to consider the approval of the minutes of August 7th, 2018. What's the will of the board?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion we accept the minutes as printed. I couldn't find anything that Nelson has.
I found two little things. I'll second the motion and turn to page 9, line 30. The sentence that says, "The neighbor to the south is amenable to a drainage easement." I think they meant the neighbor to the east. This is the synergy, and this is the drainage ditch.
Yeah, I
in the
know
back.
where you are.
It's on the east side and not on the south side.
Yes.
And then further, on line 38 of that same page, noted that there is a drainage concern with neighbors on both sides rather than concerns. Two little,
Yes, or there are drainage concerns.
Oh, well, spelling wrong, okay.
Okay, so both of those changes make sense to me. Any other comments or questions on minutes? All in favor of approving them, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? 500 to approve the minutes.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we adjourn.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by
Well,
Nelson.
I should let somebody else have a
Go ahead.
Nelson's the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstaining? 500, we're adjourned. Thank you very much for all the work, gentlemen, and don't forget to turn your microphones off.